All right. Hi. I'm so excited to do some new moon messages today. So I've done these on my Instagram before, but this is my first time doing it on my YouTube. So let's see how it goes. But basically, what we're going to do today is we're just going to get some messages for the new moon by Starseed type. But first, I want to briefly introduce who I am. I'm Judith Hope. I'm a galactic Akashic channel, which means I work with the Akashic Records to channel information about ETs, past civilizations, other planets. I also talk to aliens sometimes, as crazy and woo woo as that sounds. And then I also help people understand their soul origin point and their past lives that they had on other planets. So, if you've heard the term starseed before, basically what it refers to is a person whose soul originated somewhere other than Earth, which, to be quite honest, is most of us. But typically, when you see the word starseed, it's not just that. That's the first part, but then it's also referring to someone who not only had a soul that originated on another planet, but also they're here to help, right? So they're here to help raise the collective consciousness, to fix some of Earth's problems. They're not necessarily here because they have to be, or even because they want to be, but it's more so like they wanted to come and help, right? So I help a lot of folks, some starseeds, some people who may not be, consider themselves starseeds, but they still want to understand their, incarnation history, their past lives, what they were doing prior, to this lifetime, and why they wanted to come here. So I help them figure that out. Also help a lot of business entrepreneurs as well, right? So in my past life, not my actual past life, but before I, started doing this type of work, I was a CPA and an auditor for about 10 years. And so I helped a lot of businesses, right, with efficiencies and managing risks and things like that. So now I do that with entrepreneurs as well, using a mix of my skills as a CPA, but then also as a galactic channel. So that's a little bit about me. And yeah, the new moon. I love the new moon. It's one of my favorites because it's great for intention setting. So I've been really into the past couple years into candle magic. So basically what I'll do is I'll set an intention around my candle and then I'll use the candle like ritualistically to put the intention into the candle on the new moon. And then as it burns, like the intention like releases, the energy of the intention releases, and then it comes into manifestation, right? And so it's a really cool way to manifest. That's what I love the most about the new moon. I like the full moon too, but the new moon really has a special place in my heart. So with that being said, we're going to get through some messages today. So I have the Akashic Records open. These records are going to be, these messages are going to be coming from the Akashic Guides and the Akashic Records, as well as just other ETs, higher dimensional light beings that want to come in. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what the Akashic Records are real quick too. Some of you may be familiar with that term. Some of you may not be. But basically, it is a multidimensional library. And so it's basically a record of everything that has happened on planet Earth, on every planet, for every person, every thought, feeling, emotion, action they've taken. Typically, when we use the Akashic Records, it is to go into past lives, but it has a lot of other uses too. Like I was talking about doing like working with entrepreneurs and doing auditing. I go into the Akashic Records of their business as well, right? And so if you want to check out those audits, I actually have some of those on my videos I've uploaded on this page. So definitely go check that out if you're interested. But my point here is that we often use the Akashic Records for past lives, but it's not their only use you can use the Akashic Records for. So so that's what we're going to be channeling from today. All right. And before we get started on the channeling, I'm going to go through by starseed type. So a lot of times you hear like channeled messages by like zodiac type. So most people know, like for me, it's like, I know I'm a Libra, I know I'm a Cancer moon. A lot of people know that. Not everyone knows their starseed type, but what I'm, hoping to do by channeling these messages is get people interested enough that they want to know what their starseed type is, right? And that's something that I help people figure out. So if you're interested in booking a soul origin and life purpose reading, that's exactly what we go through. We figure out what kind of starseed you are, what planets you've been on in your past life, and then kind of like which culture or galactic civilization you really identify with the most. And that's typically like your starseed type, right? So if you're interested in doing a reading, definitely I have that link in the show notes below. And you can book directly there. But also, as we'll be going through, I'll be kind of talking about like different characteristics of different Starseed types. So you can kind of figure out like, hey, like sounds like I might be from Sirius, I might be from the Pleiades. Like you might be able to kind of figure it out as we go along too. All right. So, with that being said, I want to first start by just kind of giving a general message for star seeds this new moon. So, typically the new moon period is about 2 weeks. So, I'm just going to channel in. And when I'm channeling in, I typically close my eyes because I'm clairvoyant. So, I see a lot. It's difficult for me to channel without closing my eyes. I found that out. When I took a mediumship course like a month ago, I was like, the teacher didn't want me to have my eyes closed when I was channeling. It was very difficult for me. So, I like to close my eyes. So, and I move my head a lot like this. So that's just kind of how I channel receive information. Don't be alarmed if you see that. It's just my normal process. All right. Okay. For a lot of star seeds, there are some big things coming this month, these next 2 weeks, and it feels like over the next 2 months, a lot of these things are going to continue. A lot of these star seeds out there have big hearts. And so it feels like some of these things you've been kind of struggling with in relation to your emotions and like relationships and things like that. Yes, romantic relationships, but potentially other types of relationships too, like friendships and family relationships. Feels like a lot of this is going to clear out. Feels like a lot of this is going to clear out and it's going to get better. And it's kind of a period of rejuvenation in the next 2 weeks for a lot of star seeds. And sometimes it's important to note that sometimes when we have those periods of rejuvenation, first you have to release the emotions and the trapped energy from those emotions in your body. So this time is going to be good for allowing yourself to do just that. So don't be scared or afraid also to bring up things with people who are important to you that maybe are uncomfortable to talk about. Maybe it's working relationships where you really like the person, like working with them, but you just need to be kind of direct or more upfront about some of the things that aren't working when you guys working together. Same thing with like mother-child relationships. Like if you feel the need to speak up to your mother about something, being able to do it in a kind and loving way, but very firm, is going to be important over the next 2 weeks. Feels like a lot of relationship karma is just going to clear out over these next 2 weeks, especially for the star seeds listening today. And then too, it is a time for heart opening, right? Because there's new connections that are going to come in over the next few months, over the rest of the year. And so we want to open up our hearts. And by being able to kind of clear out some of these emotions, these traumas, these things that are holding us back, we're going to be able to allow those new relationships to come forward. So just allowing yourself to feel is going to be really important. It's okay to feel things and it's needed to feel things. Sometimes if you're not feeling things, they can actually be a block to your manifestation. So if you need to feel these things, address these things, you totally can. Give yourself the time and don't make yourself feel better about something until you're ready to feel better about it. So if you really like, you maybe something happened to you and you're like, I just like this happened, or I found out something and I just need some time to process it. It's okay to allow yourself to take time to process it. If you need 2 weeks to process it or a month to process it, or if you need 2 months to process it, but allowing yourself to have the time to process those emotions in a healthy way and then release them, it's what's going to be key here. And it's actually going to help with a lot of you guys, your third eyes kind of opening up more, is just allowing yourself to process those emotions. All right. Anything else, general message just for star seeds? A lot of you guys just need to keep going. There's been some hardships kind of happening, but this is about just kind of keep going and knowing that kind of better days are coming, right? And it definitely feels like there's perhaps like some of you guys have something that you kind of like not an unhealthy habit, but like something that helps you get through the day. Like maybe you always drink like a soda or like a certain drink or something, right? And it's just going to be important to evaluate whether those habits are healthy and if you should continue doing those habits during this period is a good time to evaluate those. So for example, if every day you have a habit of like, I got to start off my water and my electrolytes, like you got to validate, like, is that a good habit or is it not? And so with that one, like for me, that's what I do every day, and it really helps me. It's a good habit, so I make sure I'm doing it. Whereas like if I was doing like, in the brand that I use of electrolytes has very like low sugar and things like that. If I was using one that was like higher in sugar, or it was like it just wasn't, there was something about it that wasn't affecting my body good. It's like take a moment to be like, yeah, I'm so in the grind and I feel like I need this. Like they kind of show me it's like if you feel like you need something to get through the day. And then like the opposite of that would be like when I was like in my 20s, I would drink so much soda. I was having like heart palpitations and I was just drinking soda all day. And so like if you're if a habit could not be healthy like that, right? Like soda, like drinking a soda every day is not necessarily a good thing. So it's like if you have some type of habit where you're kind of relying on something, even like coffee, like it feels like drinks a lot of the times. There could be, it could be other things like chewing gum or just, you know, certain things. It feels more like consumption. It feels more like consumption, or even like certain things maybe you're reading every day, like things that you're consuming, you know, whether that's information or like food or drinks. It's going to be really important this new moon to kind of evaluate that and say like, hey, are these things I want to continue on, or do I want to try to break this habit or perhaps make a new habit? So yeah, so you got some good practical advice there. So thank you, guides. All right, so let's get into our channeled messages for Starseed type. So let's see, who are we going to start with today? I kind of switch it up every time. Let's see, hold on. Give me just a second. Let's see. I'm feeling like our Orion Starseeds we should start with. All right, so Orion Starseeds, some of the characteristics of them, a lot of them have jobs in like science or politics, right? So they're kind of the people that want to be like tell the truth or be like a whistleblower, things like that, right? So a lot of like Orion Starseeds are going to be people who are out there who are like trying to like get the truth out there, blow the whistle, you know, in these different situations, you know, that we have here on planet Earth that are more corrupt. There are also people who are jack of all trades, right? So they have a lot of diverse skill sets, and a lot of knowledge about a different topic. So if you're always someone who kind of like knows something about everything, like could be that you're in Orion Starseed. They also they're more like intellect based rather than emotional, and so that's something that like a lot of Orion Starseeds, like they have to kind of really open up during their time here on Earth and allow their emotions to come in. So if any of those sound familiar, you could be an Orion Starseed, and if so, this message is for you. So for our Orion Starseeds, it's definitely a time to kind of like unlock yourself from the things that have been holding you back. So a lot of you feel like you're kind of like tied down or chained down by like certain life circumstances or situations. It's actually shown me that a lot of you who are the Orion Starseeds, like you have this plan for your life, this big vision, but you feel like you can't always execute. Or when you try to execute, it's like there's kind of always something that's holding you back or dragging you down, whether that's like issues with like a money or a family member, or just like not feeling confident, or it feels like the universe is always against you, like you try your best but then you can't get going or can't get your, you know, like your feet off the ground, your business off the ground, yourself off the ground. It just feels like there's been like a stagnation there, and the energy is just trying to pull you back. So it feels like this has been going on like for a while, and a lot of you guys are like pretty aware of it and pretty frustrated, like you're kind of at your wits end. But the message that's coming through right now is just to release yourself from some of these chains. So they're showing me the Devil card in tarot. If you guys are familiar with the tarot deck, I love tarot. But the whole thing about the tarot deck is that when you have these things that are holding you back, right? And it's like the devil's chaining you down, but in the picture on the tarot deck, it's like you have this chain around your neck, but it's actually big enough you can just take it off. And so that's what's kind of coming through here. It feels like a lot of you are like at the space where you are actually able just to remove these chains from yourself, these things that are pulling you down, dragging you down, and just get going with stuff. A lot of you just need to release these emotions. I think this is coming in again, just allowing yourself to release the emotions. They're showing me someone like dancing and be like, ah, you know, just like if this resonates with you, maybe just sit there and just focus on what it is that's holding you back and say, I don't allow this to hold me back anymore. And then just like move, like dance, like yell, scream, cry, like however the emotion wants to be released from you. And I'm kind of sending some energy to you guys right now so that you can just like allow the emotion to be released. It might even just be like laughing, right? Just allow the emotion to be released so it's not holding you back anymore. So that would be my kind of my biggest takeaway with Orion Starseeds. Yeah, it feels like with Orion Starseeds, that's going to be very important. But then also they're kind of showing me too. There's just some stuff coming up. It feels like for Orion Starseed, it's like this kind of fresh energy of like being out and about, being seen, seeing others, like going on an adventure, going on a road trip. Just kind of like this adventure type of energy for Orion Starseeds too. Opportunities to meet new people for Orion Starseeds are coming in too, but also opportunities. It's interesting. There must be someone who's going to listen to this. An opportunity where it's like you meet someone and you're like they may have a certain agenda with you or something they kind of want, and then you kind of pick up on it, and it's kind of like playing a game or like a battle with the other person because like you both kind of have your agendas for each other, but then like seeing where the relationship actually goes, it might end up going differently than you think it's going to. So whoever that is out there, have fun. Interesting one, right? All right, so let's go on to our Pleiadian starseeds. So we have a ton of Pleiadian starseeds here on planet Earth because they're just heavily involved with Earth. There's still civilization that's pretty active, higher dimensional civilization. And you hear about these guys because they're very kind and compassionate. So if you've been told that you're kind of kind and gentle in nature, soft-spoken, polite, like a lot of these are Pleiadian starseeds, empathic people, a lot of them are Pleiadian starseeds. And I'll say this, like I think a lot of people, if you don't identify as a Pleiadian starseed, like so for me, I don't, I'm an Andromedan starseed, but I still have a lot of time in the Pleiades, and then a lot of like the hand gestures and light language I do are from my past lives in the Pleiades. So I think a lot of like starseeds or people have a connection to the Pleiades regardless. So if you do identify as a Pleiadian starseed, that's amazing. But also if you don't, I feel like most people probably have some kind of connection, spent some time on the Pleiades. Also, Pleiadian starseeds love animals, and they like to kind of work in careers that help and advocate for animals. So that's you vet, or you work at a vet's office, or you work in like animal rights, animal welfare. You could have a connection to the Pleiades. So a lot of Pleiadian starseeds really like harmonious environments and don't do like well in loud, chaotic, or drama-filled spaces. So if any of that sounds familiar, you could be a Pleiadian starseed. Like I said, I do have a reading where we go through and we confirm what type of starseed you are, where your soul origin is from, all the different galaxies and star systems you've been in your past lives. So if you are interested in that, please, please, please check out and book a soul origin and life purpose reading below that is tagged in the show notes. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you like this kind of content. I am going to be doing these messages for every full moon and new moon. So subscribe and you can always tap in and kind of get some guidance based on your starseed type. So with that, let me take a sip of water. All right. And so we're going to check in what's going on with the Pleiadians. It's interesting. I see this image of this like Pleiadian man. I see a man. He looks like an elf from Lord of the Rings. So like Pleiadians are known for like being basically like a Caucasian looking person with like very light skin, very light hair, like very blonde, light, almost white. But kind of like supermodel looking. Like they're all like tall and like pretty looking. So like the elves in Lord of the Rings are like the Fae and Akatar is what they kind of look like. So they're literally showing me this. And this Pleiadian guy has this big like crystal ball looking thing, or like an orb with like swirling lights and like smokes in it, and it's all purple. And they're showing me this like scene of like this Pleiadian guy's like looking in this orb and trying to figure out what it means, and then kind of asking like all of his friends like, what's going on? What does this mean for the future? What should be our next steps, right? And so I think, what this is kind of symbolically showing is that for a lot of our Pleiadian starseeds, you guys are trying to figure out like your next steps. Maybe you just got some news and new information came in, or maybe just looking at things from a different perspective. But it feels like right now is going to be the time where you're kind of like integrating new information and trying to figure out your next steps. So the advice for Pleiadian starseeds who are doing this is really take some time to digest all of the information before making a rash move. You're going to be asked to listen to your intuition here, right? So you really want to find out all of the information before making any type of decision. And as the information is coming in and you're listening to it, what's going to be key is that when you hear certain things, is tapping in and saying like, yes, that's what's important. That's what matters. And being able to really listen to your gut. It feels like a lot of you Pleiadian starseeds, you're wanting to awaken more, wanting to trust your intuition more. And this is going to be a time that you do so, right? And so it's really going to be taking the time to have discussions with other people. So it's like, think about if you're trying to make a big decision, you're going to want to ask, maybe family members, if you have a romantic partner, maybe like well-trusted friends or siblings or your cousins or, colleagues or things like that. Really taking some time to talk with these folks, these individuals, digest what they say, and then say, do I agree with this or do not? Or what wisdom, what information did I get from what they told me to help me empower myself to make my own decision, right? So this is definitely not a time of rash decision making. This is really getting a lot of information from all angles and then like making a really, really good decision, right? And so it's going to be important for the Pleiadians over these next 2 weeks. You guys also like, it's just like a time to be really mindful and careful. So like they're telling me, give me an example of like the first time I drove through the desert from Las Vegas to Los Angeles. I didn't let my car get down below a half tank of gas just because I was like, it's the desert. I don't know how soon I'm going to see a gas station. Like, I just want to make sure that I'm being cautious and careful and taking care of things. That's kind of the sentiment here for Pleiadians. It's like, you need to make sure that you're like being cautious, making sure things are well taken care of and not just kind of like being like, oh, like I'll just fill up for gas. I think about it or I still have a half a tank, but it's like being mindful and thoughtful about things, right? And kind of like preparing and like prepping yourself. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else for Pleiadians? So kind of like opposite to Orion's, there's like adventure and things like that kind of going on and exciting kind of stuff they were mentioning at the end. For Pleiadians, it's kind of different. It's a pause. It's just a pause and a time to not take any rash actions and think and just have a break and like discuss, right? So, all right. Okay, that's it for Pleiadian starseeds. Let's go on to our Sirian starseeds. Another group of, oh, hold on. I dropped my channeling crystal. See, that's it. I don't know if you guys can see it. There we go. So Sirian starseeds, there's a ton of these guys on the planet too, and I have a big history with Sirius myself, just like I do with the Pleiades. Sirius starseeds are pretty cool, right? So what Sirians people look like is that they're either human typically or like mer people, and the humans have like blue skin. And so they're a little bit different. They don't look like necessarily like people that we have on planet Earth today. But they're very heart-centered and they speak through their heart chakra a lot of the time. So just imagine instead of having to use words, you could just convey a message through like thoughts and feelings through like your heart chakra. And that's kind of how the Sirians communicate. But a lot of serious people are like really into like witchy stuff and like have tattoos. For the most part, Sirian starseeds tend to maintain a really small circle of friends instead of having like many casual acquaintances and many friends. So if you're kind of someone who just likes to have like a small group of people who are like your people, it can mean you're like a serious starseed. Also, they like getting piercings too. So if you're someone who likes to, get like all the different piercings and the tattoos, like that's a sign you could be a serious starseed. People are into fantasy. That's a big one. Fantasy and like sci-fi, that type of thing, starseed. So you like, Akatar or Lord of the Rings or, Star Trek, any of those things like could show that you're a Sirian starseed. Also, people who are really into metaphysics and astrology, tarot cards, alternative healing. So kind of like the typical like woo-woo metaphysical person. And it's interesting because a lot of that stuff developed on Sirius, right? So I'm going to make some content eventually here about Sirius, but like a lot of these modalities that we have, like energy healing and things like that on planet Earth, like a lot of that originated on Sirius, right? At the Sirius mystery schools, which were taught by ascended masters, right? And so those of you too who have like a really strong connection to an ascended master, such as like Buddha, Mary Magdalene, Jesus, like that's also a sign that you could be a serious starseed. And I would say like a lot of people have a connection to Sirius here. I know I have a big connection to Sirius, but I do think that there's a lot of serious starseeds on the planet. So let's kind of tap in and see what we've got for our Sirius Starseeds. And it's funny, they're showing me this image of like being out in the water and like rocks out on the water. And there's like all these mer people just like hanging out and they're like sunbathing and they're just taking it easy. So this feels like a more gentle energy for the Sirius Starseeds, almost like being on vacation and like hanging out. Definitely feels like a lot of Sirius Starseeds are kind of like looking for guidance right now or internal guidance. So I think a lot of you Sirius Starseeds right now, it's going to be kind of a period where it's like you're using your pendulum to ask questions, right? Trying to figure out the energy of a situation using your pendulum, right? It's like you're doing a lot of tarot readings, right? So you're kind of like seeking information right now is kind of like the headspace that Sirius folks are in, and they're actually showing me a lot of mer people. So you know, Sirius is a water planet, right? Or Sirius B was a water planet, and Sirius A had a lot of water on it too. So there were a lot of mer people on Sirius B, and they're showing me again referring to that, you know, open heart chakra, open throat chakra. So it feels like a lot of Sirius people right now, they're kind of figuring out what to say. There's not a lot of movement here, like similar to the Pleiadians, but this feels a little bit different because it feels like almost like you're on vacation, you're taking a break from something and you're just taking time to reflect. And it's just a very gentle approach, more so than the Pleiadians, where it's like we're trying to relax and rejuvenate is what it feels like, right? And I think that came up earlier too in our like general starseed message, but this feels like for Syrians, it really just feels like a time to rest and to think and to understand like what is going to happen? Like, what is going to happen with the rest of my life? Like, am I on the right track? Like, am I doing the things that I need to be doing? And so for a lot of Syrian starseeds out there, I think it's your time to reflect. And I think a lot of you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like, I do feel like I need to kind of say, like, I am getting an indication here that a lot of you guys are on the right track, right? Is this kind of like proving it to yourself and like some internal work here to feel like, yes, I am on the right track. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right? Also time a lot of star seeds, like there's just a lot of throat chakra expression. So whether that's like through singing or speaking up or whatever it may be, I think there is an opportunity for a lot of Syrian starseeds to kind of express themselves vocally and verbally. So if there's been something you've been wanting to do, maybe it's like doing a solo in your choir, or maybe it's like posting a video to, you know, social media of yourself singing or speaking, but just allowing yourself to do that, right? Allowing yourself to express yourself vocally. Maybe it's having a conversation with someone, maybe it's having a conversation with your boss or, you know, a parent or something like that. Maybe it's just kind of like allowing yourself to speak and say the things you want to say, right? Speak in the way you want to say, right? Is what's coming through. Um, and so, yeah. So it feels like things will pick up in July for you guys, but right now it's just a period of rest and relaxation too. So they're kind of just saying enjoy it, make the most of your vacation time. Like really soak in the sun is what they're saying. They're literally showing me this mermaid like lying on a rock and like soaking in the sun. Just letting this time that feels like a little bit more down. Maybe you're even like you're not even on vacation, like you're less busy at work, just allowing yourself to just kind of rest and relax and just kind of like feel a sense of peace despite all the stuff that's going on in the world right now. Like it's going to be important for Sirius star seeds to just feel a sense of peace is what, and just take a little bit of a break right now. So that's what's coming in for Sirius star seeds. Let's see if there's anything else here. Playfulness too is going to be big for Sirius star seeds, just being playful. Like if you have kids, like playing with your kids or, you know, anyone in your life. It doesn't have to be children, but it could just be within yourself, you know? Like I know for me, I have gone to Disney a few like once a week for the past 3 weeks or something like that. And just getting to go and meet the characters, it makes you feel like a little kid again, you know? It's just so happy because it's just so fun and sweet and the characters are just like they just act so cute when you go and meet them. So just allowing yourself to like play and be playful and connect with your inner child right now. I think this pause in time that feels very peaceful for Syrian star seeds, it's like it's a good time for you guys to just like reconnect to your playfulness. So all right, so I think that's it for Syrian star seeds. All right, and like I said, if you don't know what starseed type you are, I do have a reading for that. I've booked it down below in the show notes. So if you want to understand what type of starseed you are, where your soul originated from, your galactic history, all the different star systems you were on, and then why you came to planet Earth. That reading covers all of it. So it's a great deal because you get so much. It's about an hour and a half long. And so, yeah. Yeah. So I definitely encourage you, like, if you want to know more, like, am I a Sirian Starseed? Do I have a connection? Please book a reading. Link is below. All right. So for our Lyran and Vegan star seeds, okay. So Lyra and Vega, a lot of people also have a connection here too. If you can see, I kind of go through the most common ones in these readings. There's a lot of star seed types, but I kind of stick to the ones that most people have some type of connection with, just because like it's the greatest audience, right? And most of us have a connection to the majority of these star systems, in my experience anyway. But Lyrans were the first ever humans, and they were also the cat humanoids. So I just have to put these on. Hello Kitty. She's like, there you go. Kind of like Cricket or something. If you're really like a cat person, you could, possibly be Lyran. They also like foodies, Lyran. Like if you love going to get like good food, good beverage, different types of restaurants, you like to try out like exotic foods and stuff, definitely a sign you could be Lyran. Lyrans are typically more athletic in nature, right? Because they were the ones who were like really into like hard labor and like the good value of work, and were like outside doing physical labor a lot. Although I have a connection to Lyran, I am not athletic. And then sometimes people have like a cat-like appearance. So like they're just like, some people have like a certain like cat-like eyes and stuff. Or like just like the way their like nose is shaped and stuff. Like that could mean that you are a Lyran. If you feel like you're really old soul, right? Because Lyran was like the first ever star system in this galaxy where there were humans. Could be that you're a Lyran starseed. And then if you have like a lot of dreams of like being in these big wars, right? Like if at night you're always in like a war, or like something's about to happen and you're like, okay, we got to go seek shelter, we got to fight back or whatever, like that's a really good indication you could have been in the Lyran wars, right? So yeah. And then also if you have dreams of like flying places a lot, that could also mean there were also avian genetics on Lyra. And so there were like bird beings on Lyra as well, like bird humanoids. Yes, and I know this stuff sounds crazy. It really does. But yeah. Yeah. So you could, if you, because there were so many birds and bird beings, they would fly around and see so many things. So if you have dreams of like flying and seeing stuff, you may have a connection to the star system as well. So, all right. And I have a very long history of Lyra. I love it. The is ancient Lyran technology too, the galactic portal chamber. I do a lot of like sound frequency and past life healings. And there I do financial abundance attunements. So I literally attune people to a higher frequency, like the frequency of money. I do third eye activations there. I help people activate their third eyes. And so I do all kinds of things in there. So those are also at my Calendly, which I'll also make sure is linked below as well. All right. So our messages for our Lyran starseeds. All right. So our Lyran starseeds, it feels like there's going to be something new to kind of like explore or discover this new moon phase. Yeah, it's like you're kind of discovering something that's old, which is interesting. They're showing me the example of like when maybe you find like a cave of like ancient texts and treasures, and then it's like you're finding something, it's a discovery, it's a lot to go through, but it's like really old stuff too that's like been around for a while. And so what this is meant to represent is like understanding like old parts of yourself that also feel new, right? Because like in that example, like these texts and these artifacts are really old, but they're also new to us. So there's going to be a lot of like inward work for our Lyran starseeds this month. So not just the new moon, but the entire month, but really looking within and understanding who you are and who you're meant to be. So a lot of soul purpose, life purpose stuff is going to be coming up for you guys, and it's going to be kind of a realignment to it, right? So if you're having like stuff coming up and you're like, I just don't know if this is me, or like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this, or like, maybe it's something you've always been on the same career path, right? And then like something comes up and you're like, dang, this just like really interests me, and it's funny because like I mentioned, like my old career was an auditor, and I feel like everyone in audit was kind of like talking about that because it was a tough job and it was like you deal with a lot. And it wasn't something like, it's something that not that many people stay in their whole career. Like a lot of people do audit for a few years and they'll go work in like finance or accounting or something like that, or sometimes it's business operations too. So we're always kind of talking about what else we would do if we quit auditing, right? And then eventually I got to the point where it's like, oh, I actually, spiritually awakened, want to become, an Akashic channel, things like that, or a psychic at first I was like, oh, psychic medium. And then finally I figured out, within the spiritual world, within my channeling gifts, what I was supposed to do. But we were always having conversations about it. And it's interesting because I feel like that's what's going to happen with the Lyrans like this month. Like, there's going to be a lot of conversations about like, am I really on the right trajectory? Is this really what I want to do? And the message here is that if you're questioning it and you're thinking about it, it's happening for a reason, and you need to listen to those gut feelings that you have. So if you're like, I just don't think this is the direction my life should be taking, or they're even bringing up the example of like maybe your partner wants to have a child and you don't, you're like, no, this isn't right. Like, it's like really thinking about what's right for you, and really digesting that and being vocal about it. But the first part I think is accepting it, right? So like if like that's a lot. When you switch careers or if you decide to have a child or not have a child, like these are big decisions, right? So it's like really tapping into yourself and figuring out what you want first, right? Not letting what your partner wants get in the way of what you want, right? So like I have like an example would be like again with like the kids, if one partner really wants kids and one doesn't, like not just giving in to what the other partner wants, right? But really tapping in and saying like, I need to do what's right by me and this is my life path. And so I need to make this decision like yes or no, if whether the decision is having a child or staying in a different career path or whatever it may have, is like really looking inward and understanding what is right for you, right? And this is coming up for Lyrans, because it feels like this is like a collective Lyran healing that's happening where they didn't pick what was right for them or what felt good for them, right? And I think what happened when the Lyran Wars, like their planets were destroyed by other ETs who are a little bit more nefarious, feels like some healing from that. From saying we can own who we are, we can be what we want to be, we can do what we want to do. It's a very powerful, like protective fatherly energy is coming in right now too. So you have that on your side, but it's like it's really looking inward and just remembering who I am and what I'm here to do. So this time is gonna be a tougher time for you guys. So the guidance here is just to really make sure you're taking it easy on yourself, making sure you're taking care of yourself in a positive way. So, for example, instead of if you get stressed out, like smoking or eating a bag of cookies, maybe going on a walk, kind of knowing what those habits are that help you process energy, emotions, thoughts, and feelings in a healthy way. And not just, I'm going to go to my vice, right? Like, yeah, it's like staying away from vices and processing this emotion in a healthy way because it's going to bring up a lot. Like these big life changes, they bring up a lot and it's a good thing, but it's hard to go through. It's one of the hardest things in this human experience. So for our Lyran Starseeds out there, we're gonna have to hold steadfast to our ideals and who we are, but we're gonna have to be very careful about how we regulate, right? So like for me, food has always been my vice. Like there's nothing I love more than just getting like a bag of Oreos and just eating all the Oreos. Like to me, that makes me, feel better until it doesn't, right? Um, but I found like the more that I'm like finding other ways, like drinking water, like certain drinks, like certain, like I said earlier, like electrolyte drinks, or I really like the Fairlife protein smoothies are really good, right? Or like I like to go on walks and or do yoga and things like that. The more I've done that, like over the years, like the easier it's gotten. And I mean, I still have moments where I go back to those unhealthy habits occasionally, but it's okay because I've also learned to forgive myself too and know that like I am on the right track. And so I think that's going to be big for Lyran Starseeds, like when we're going through a kind of like a tumultuous time these next 2 weeks and into the like the next 4 weeks as well. All right, that's good for Lyran Starseeds. Feels like a lot of support on the other side from your spirit team as well. Feels like I see those lines as cat humanoids, like with the heart chakra sending like these over the heart. So we know that we're loved and that we have support on the other side. So, all right, so I'm going to get a drip of water. Also has my electrolytes in it. All right, so let's go into our Andromedan Starseeds. So these are my people. I'm an Andromedan starseed. So the Andromedan starseeds, they came from the Andromedan galaxy, and were some of the first souls to incarnate into human form on Lyra. So if you're an Andromedan Starseed, you probably have a connection to Lyra as well. These two kind of go hand in hand. Like I probably could say I'm a Lyran Starseed, but I prefer Andromeda. Whereas like I've met Starseeds who are both Andromedan and Lyran, but they prefer to say they're Lyran Starseeds, right? So it just kind of depends. But these two are pretty typically close together. Some signs you could be a Lyran, some signs you can be an Andromedan Starseed. People say you're really easy to talk to and are a good listener, but sometimes you struggle with communicating clearly, particularly your emotions. So for me, sometimes I do struggle with like communicating clearly, but I've always been like a really good listener. So I identify with that. Um, you consider yourself an introvert. That's a sign you could be an Andromedan Starseed. You tend to be the strong, quiet type and stay in the background to observe others. Also, being independent is a sign that you're an Andromedan Starseed and you love your freedom. You go on your path and do not follow the crowd. Yeah, when I quit being a very societally respected position of being a CPA to become a psychic, like, yeah, that was not following the crowd, following my own path. So I definitely identify with being an Andromedan Starseed, and I'm hoping many of you out there do too. All right. Let's see. Is there anything else with Andromedan Starseeds? Okay, so Andromedan Starseeds also struggle with staying in a monogamous relationship, or they have trouble finding a romantic partner, as you have high expectation of others and want a partner that is energetically aligned with your own high frequency. Yeah. So like that's another one for me too. It's like I don't understand how people get into some of these relationships I see people in. I'm just like, no, like that's not gonna happen, right? So I think sometimes it's kept me staying single for most of my adult life, right? And so I think if you are someone who's kind of like really wants to find someone who is aligned to your frequency, who feels right, and won't just date someone because of like they make so much money, or they're tall, or they look a certain way, or they bring the certain values, that my family expects them to have. But no, I really want a true vibrational frequency match. I want to feel it's right, or this is really the right person. That can also be a sign that you're an Andromedan Starseed. So, all right, so let's get into our message for our Andromedan Starseeds. All right, so we're kind of going back to that scene with there was like an ET who was Lyran. He was kind of showing us this cave, right, with all these old artifacts that the Lyrans are going to go in and explore. Going back to that scene, and we're like in this desert, there's a cave, and then it's on the right. We turn to the left, and there's just like a vast expanse of land. And I think like Andromedans are like, so much to do, so much to see. But where do I start? And there's a bit of timidness during this new moon. Like we're taking things slow. We want to explore, but we don't want to get hurt. So we're going to take things slow. That's how it feels. So it's interesting. That does sound like it's related to romantic relationships a little bit, but I don't think it has to be. If you identify it with it from the romantic perspective, what's going on in your life, I would say go for it. But if there's another situation also that's not romantic, go for it as well. When meeting new connections, there's a timidness here. There's like, should I go talk to this person? Like, how do I get involved with this group? Like, should I sign up for this volunteer event? Or like, what kind of things should I say to these people? Like when I go and meet them, like there's just a lot of like questions and timidness when meeting new people over this new moon period. And that's okay. It's okay to be reserved, to be more reserved and to take your time exploring is what they're saying. Feel into things like, are these really people I want to get involved with? Like, do I really want to ask this person to go get coffee with me? Like, do I really feel like they're a good connection? Do I feel like they'd just be a waste of my time? Like really feel into it and pick and choose how you spend your time. Your time's limited. So I really want Andromedans to really think about how they're spending their time over the next 2 weeks and really do things that feel like heart-centered, guided by your heart, right? So like those intuitive hits, like, yes, I want to go to this, or no, I don't want to go to this. So like an example for me is that like I've been going to a lot of events to like meet new people. And I really like, there's so many because I'm currently in Los Angeles. And there's so many different events. So I really have to pick and choose like which ones really feel like a yes and which ones feel like a no. And sometimes they're like the ones that feel like a yes are the ones like logically I'd be like, I don't know, it doesn't really align to my interests, but there's something about it that I want to go and check out. Whereas like sometimes like there's literally like a UFO ET event that I was like, I just don't feel like I'm going to like it if I go there. So it's really like using that discernment if you actually want to go to these events or not. So yeah, right now is also going to be a time of observation and taking notes for Andromeda and Starseed. So as you're exploring these new groups, what came up was like new religions too. So it's interesting. So like exploring new maybe like bodies of thought or new groups, organizations, things like that. Really taking mental notes, figuring out what you agree with and what you disagree with to forge your own path. And so I actually, I want to share that I've been exploring Buddhism a little bit. And some of the stuff resonates, but some of it doesn't resonate with me. And I feel like because there's so much more spiritual information, like now than on the planet than there has been in the past, sometimes it's like you go to the stuff that's religious and you're just like, man, like I just feel like sometimes there is a faster, better way, or we just know more now? And so I feel like there's some element of that too right now coming on as we're exploring. Like when people are saying stuff, and you have to use so much discernment when you're in the spiritual community, really any community, right? But it's like, what do I agree with here and what do I not agree with? And then just like learning about different organizations, right? Learning about different people or groups or different ways of thinking, right? So it's just a lot of like learning and taking notes. Um Also too, it's like setting expectations, right? So I think for some of you that may be engaging in like dating or romance type of stuff, um coming up, it's like really setting expectations and saying like, do I actually like this person, or like why am I drawn to them, and like am I drawn to them because something in me wants someone or something to be a certain way, or wants a certain relationship, or wants to start dating someone, but then this person, like, are they really what I want, or do I just want someone, right? So it's kind of like asking yourself like that type of question. Yeah. But just open to exploring, like, knowing, like, it's like for Andromedans, it's like there's so much around us to explore right now. So just being open, but also using your discernment, right? It's like navigation is going to be key, right? Navigation is going to be key on how we want to spend our time, what we want to do, and making sure it's okay to rest and relax and recharge in between doing things too. Yeah. Yep. And for Andromedans, it feels like the race flag is starting and we're just starting off on something new. So, yeah, that's good. Anything else? No, we're good for Andromedans. Okay. All right. So, I want to just do a couple for our like doll Deberon Starseeds. I just channeled like a lot of history about that universe. It's a few videos back. So, I want to channel for doll Starseeds if there's anything really coming through. So now is kind of like your time to let yourself be known. So for doll starseeds, there are going to be some opportunities here for you to show yourself to others and be more open about who you really are and who you believe in, what you believe in, who you believe in, who you believe yourself to be. So you're going to have an opportunity here to kind of make yourself known, make your opinion known. It's going to be a big throat chakra activation. Yeah. You're also going to be seeing things in a different light than you were before. So like new information is definitely going to come through that's going to shift your perspective. It's like your third eye is expanding. It's like it's expanding and it's getting more information. It's also a period for you guys to digest like quite a bit as well. So you're going to be getting a lot of information, but then you're going to have to digest it too. And you're going to be learning a lot. So now's the time to learn for doll star seeds too. So the guidance here is to just keep going on your path. Don't let others tell you what to do. You need to focus on what you know to do. You can listen to others and take it into consideration, but ultimately this is about making your own decisions right now. So it's about loving yourself too. So if there are any doll star seeds out there who are struggling with self-love, you're definitely, now's the time where you're going to really like learn to love yourself and just acceptance. It's like an acceptance of your faults is what it feels like. It's like maybe you've struggled with like the way your body looks your whole life and you finally just accept it that it doesn't look the way you've been told it should look. And you're just happy to be here and be who you are, and you love your body for the things it can do for you instead of the way that you look necessarily. So yeah. All right. Okay, so that's it for our Starseed messages for today. I'm super excited to have you guys all here listening. A couple of notes. I do have a free meditation down below, linked below. So please, 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 if you haven't checked it out, click on it. It's for third eye activation and it's only 8 minutes long. So you can do it really quick, like, like in the morning before you get going or or like at night or even like on your lunch break. Like it's so quick. And every time you do it, it's like your third eye activates a little bit more and you get like more information, more downloads each time you do it. So that's linked below. And again, I would love to work with any of you. I really encourage you to book a soul origin and life purpose reading with me. Let's go through galactic history. Let's understand where you came from and let's understand why you're on planet Earth. So, yeah, so thank you so much for joining. Sending you all lots of love, and I will see you next time.